Hi Hazel, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you? Long time no see.
I know. So
I'm,
thank you for
I'm.
being part of this. Tell me.
I was just gonna say I am mad, so it's gonna be an interesting session.
I know a lot of people are
Yeah.
difficult times. So why don't we start by you telling me the kids that you manage at home as a mother?
That I manage. They are untamable, so I wouldn't say I wouldn't. I would never use the word manage with them. But so they are 9, 11, and 14. They would hate me if they see how much I'm really thinking about their age. And their names are Alani, Amaya, and Iker.
And we have one dog too, two dogs.
Yes. Yeah. My favorite child is actually Brooklyn. He's a year and 8 months old Jack Russell Terrier, and then we have a Carolina dog, the Dingo and my baby, and she is 8 months old. A rescue.
Yeah, well, that makes for a busy household, eh?
Yeah, you would know.
Before we start talking about the kids, what is the best memory you have growing up with your mom?
It's interesting because I always think of this, and she she would go do either errands or work, or I don't know, just do things, and she would always say, "You want to come?" And I always wanted to go. And there was in Peru growing up, we have these little kioscos, like little, literally, it's like a tiny tiny food truck where you have to think tiny tiny tiny, where only one person fits, with all the treats and sweets from Peru, and the soda that I love so much that is actually this color, like super bright yellow. And it was those moments that I remember the most, just going to do errands or things with her, and stopping by and having a margarita, which was one of the cookies, and an Inca Cola together, and just being really. I mean, and we did travel a lot. I think my love for travel, I don't think I know. It comes from us traveling through Peru. So it's interesting that even though we did all of those things, the memory that comes to mind is El Kiosquito with the margaritas and the and the Inca Cola. The $2 version of the experience.
How often will you go there?
I don't recall. I just think anytime I guess I wasn't in school or it was a weekend and she had something to do at a bank, or back then you couldn't do anything online. So everything had to be done in person. So long lines called for margaritas and Inca Cola.
Very nice. So, since we've been respecting the guidelines to avoid spreading and getting the coronavirus, we have been spending a lot of time at home with the kids. And that's not new for us because we've been traveling with them when we were doing the tour around the world and homeschooling them. I guess I'm curious. Two questions. I'm curious. Do you notice any differences between now and what we were doing before? And two, what are you doing now that you think is working best?
Do I notice any differences? Yeah, I think that the first difference is actually mobility, because when we were traveling, we were moving from city to city, sometimes a week we would be in one place. Or part of homeschool was going to a museum, going to an exhibition, going to visit the creators of Minecraft, to learn from them, or to Spotify. So yeah, definitely the biggest change is mobility, and that sense of the ability to be able to move. So not being able to make our own decisions to move, which has been such a huge part of who we are as a family. So losing that is a huge loss, I feel, for all of us. So yeah, so that's definitely there. And with that comes, what happens, I think, when we went back, when we went into quarantine was, or what happened to me, I'll speak for myself, because then we'll have the chance to speak to you as well. But what happened to me is I went into my mochila, my backpack. I was like, oh my God, what are some of the tools that we did, like, for so long, for 3.5 years? What worked, what didn't work? I actually went through dozens of videos. I have like overload of videos and photos on my phone. And I went back to, okay, these are the tools that we use. These are the techniques. The failed ones were the best, to kind of reminisce and go back in time and see, oh my God, remember we tried that and it completely failed on us. But the one thing that stood out, which now we have a name for, because the kids' school has provided that for us. We used to call it Kidians back in the day, remember? Where they created their own currency, and they would earn that currency based on the work that they would do. So for us, working hard is a core value. We don't necessarily care so much about the output, as long as we're working hard. And so that's the kind of behavior that we want to reward. And so the best thing, to go back to answering your question, is after going through all the tools, is what we're now borrowing the term from their school, which is freedom levels. And for us, it was important to identify early on, set the culture. Okay, how do we want to work together? Now our worlds are colliding, right? Again, so work and school. This time without mobility, which adds another layer, another challenge. How do we want to work together in this space? How do we want to be fulfilled? And so we explore needs. What is everyone's needs? My kids were very upset that wine was at the top of my list, and they weren't even on it, maybe, which I have to reflect on. But I digress. So we have really explored, okay, so what are the needs that we have? What are the basic essentials that we as a community, as a family, as a team, which I'm really loving the word team. What is it that as a team we are creating together, and what is going to make this experience that is so challenging even, better, or just livable in a way? And so we have...
Before you go, what are freedom levels?
Yes, I'm getting there. So I have so much to share. It's 3.5 years. Do you understand this? 3.5 years of doing this. But thank you for, taking me into it. So freedom levels is something that we are doing together. So we have identified as a family our core essence, which then has rewards or consequences. So not using the word punishment, or us becoming the people that are actually telling them what they can or cannot do, but agreeing early on what are the things that need to happen, what are the rewards, and what are the consequences, based on choices, which I love. So it's not about mommy and daddy don't let me. It's about you made a choice about something that was informed. And I love the way that you say it, Iñaki. Imagine that every time we play a game, a soccer game, we would be discussing the rules of the game on the field. I mean, the rules are discussed and agreed upon early on. And then if you make a bad choice as a player, as part of a team, then you get a red card, or you get a penalty, or you know, a corner, and so forth. So agreeing on that, and then freedom levels looks very different for every family. In our family, we have three, and the kids named them the names of their favorite city and their least favorite city. So it's Ibiza, Brussels, and Athens, which is, you know, their least favorite city. And each of those freedom levels, there are a couple of things. So how you get to that freedom level is by working hard, and we define that together, not us, the parents, co-create with the kids, and they sign actually that contract, and they agree on, okay, this is what working hard looks like for our family. These are the basic things that we need to do in order to get to these levels, and here's how we're going to show up. And then there's also the other side, which is what happens when you go down a level, or what happens in the lower level. And again, it's going to be different not only for every family, but for every member of the family. So for two of our three kids, actually for three of our kids now, being at the lower level of this level means not going to school for one day. And that is actually punishment for them. But it also means no device, no trampoline as a consequence. And so what it creates is really the opportunity for us as parents to remove ourselves from having to make those decisions. Now, I'm not saying it works beautifully all the time, because many times we have to repeat over and over certain things. What we are trying to do more as parents is to stop being the parents that are constantly nagging and saying, did you shower yet? Did you brush your teeth? It is so much energy that goes into that. And with everything that is going on, you know, we have to preserve energy. There's just so much that we can give. And yeah, and I think it's working really nicely. I mean, it's been, well, since quarantine started, and it's something that it needs reinforcement. So sometimes just revisiting, and there are better days and worse days, as in everything in life.
There are three things I like about it. One is self-regulated. You and I don't have to be on top of them, because they are the ones who establish what belongs in each freedom level. So we don't need to tell them; they know. Second part I like about it is the choices, right? So I know that I'm not supposed to do that, or that I'm supposed to do that, and it's my choice to do it or not do it. And based on those choices, you move up and down the three levels throughout the week. So every day you start in a specific level, and based on your choices, you either go up, stay where you are, or go down to another level. Each level has different freedoms that they themselves have selected based on what we want and what we need to do. So those are the three things that I like.
And what we want to avoid. So if hitting happens, at first with my old mindset, I was like, you go to the lowest level, but like for the whole week, if you hit, and then the kid said, or you write an apology that is 200 words, and the next one is 300 words, and the next one is 400 words. And so Iker had to do that this morning. He had to write a 250 word apology for the stupidest thing he did yesterday. And that just also helps them reflect. So it's also a really great tool in terms of, seeing what their role is, and not the fact that the parents are the ones telling them what to do constantly. And it opens the space for conversations about other stuff, because I was feeling, and this was early on in our trip when we started implementing Kidians, which was a very similar approach. You know, I was feeling that all of my interactions with the kids were about take a shower, do this, do that, or don't do this, or don't fight. But it's just beautiful to kind of remove yourself and allow space for the real conversations to happen, for, you know, to talk about what do we think about how our government is dealing with coronavirus. But I'm not going to go into it, don't worry.
Yeah. What my favorite part of it is that famous line that whatever you can measure, you can improve. So I've seen improvements in, them helping around the house, them being more aware of how we need help in this house, and being, the more time you spend at home, the more you eat, the more trash you produce, the more the house gets dirty, the more laundry there is to be made. So
Yeah,
I'm
wear and tear.
yeah, so I'm happy that that's working very well and improving. What do you think could work better?
So I actually, as you were saying that, we have been improving it and tweaking it because once you apply it, and I love to think about it as a living organism. So culture, just as in businesses or in a country or in a city, is the living organism or the living structure. And so I love the fact that we're able to tweak it based on using it. So in terms of improvement, it's a good question. I think what had happened, and now I catch myself saying, don't get each other in trouble, get each other out of trouble, because what happens is you give, with great power comes great responsibility or great tattletelling. So it becomes a mommy, she's over her 2 hour limit on the phone, given that she's on this level. So I think that there's something there to explore with them to see, what's working, what can be improved. We have noticed this. We have noticed that you're coming to us a lot, or you're saying it to each other loudly enough so that we hear it without having to come to us. So that's the thing that I would improve. How about you?
I think like every system is taking a little bit of time to get used to it, and fine tune the things that don't work best, like you mentioned. I'm mostly very happy with it, and I don't see anything outstanding issues. Uh, Final question,
Yeah.
Hazel. What if you could go back in time to March 15th? I think is when they told us we had to stay at home. What advice will you give yourself?
So, oof. It's funny because we asked this question from everybody. Now it comes to me. The first thing that, and I'm going to answer with my gut more than my head, is I immediately went to, we have gone through this. We have to help everybody, all the parents out there. Like I had this huge responsibility or sense of responsibility to share and help others. And I would have spent a little more time with the kids, exploring what their needs are, how they're feeling. This is hard. It's hard for them. We just literally stopped living like this because they wanted to have a larger group of friends and community. And then we say, never mind, it's only been 4 months, and no, not anymore. And so definitely they're struggling. There's pain and there's anxiousness and why, and all these things. So I would definitely say there's going to be enough time, Hazel, to help everyone start at home, and just dig deeper with them, because I feel like I went too surface, even though we did the whole alignment and agreement and guidelines and guardrails. I don't think we spend enough time just saying, how are you feeling, how can I
Mhm.
help, and listening. So that would be it.
Very good. Thank you so much for answering my questions and being the guest on our own show.
Yes, our own dojo practice. Next up will be you. So get ready. I'm going to change up the questions a little bit to
Okay,
surprise
looking
you.
forward to it.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.